That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Trade Talk. I'm Sid Part 2, and today I'll be talking about Miss Marvel Volume 1, No Normal. This is the beginning of the character of Kamala Khan, created by G. Willow Wilson. So, funny story about this, back at Christmas of 2018, so it's been a couple months, sorry about that folks, I received some gifts from the Real Manos and from the Vacuuminator. Some trades, and they both gave me this one. I know Vac sent me a couple. I can't remember if Manos sent me more than one trade, but they both gave me Miss Marvel Volume 1. But luckily I knew of a place in town that had Volume 2. They'd had like at least 1 billion copies of it, so I went and got Volume 2 and sold one of the copies of Volume 1 I had. So I'll be doing the first 2 volumes of Miss Marvel on Trade Talk here. So yes, Miss Marvel, or Kamala Khan, is a young Muslim girl living in New York and dealing with, the societal pressures of both being a teenager and also being a Muslim in America. And that's immediately right up my ballpark. That's stuff I knew about Kamala Khan before I went into this, and I found inherently interesting. Delicious infidel meat. As she looks at a BLT. Anyway, so I was interested in reading this, but it's just like, you look behind me here, that stack right there. Yeah, that's all trades I need to get through on this show. So it's taken me a while to get to it, and I'm not necessarily interested in going out and buying more stuff just to try it out on Trade Talk. I'm trying to get through the stuff I already know I want to read. But, this came free, so it was a really cool opportunity. Kamala sneaks out of her house to go to a party, and that's a big deal because she's not supposed to be out of her house because she's a teenager and all this stuff, and also she's Muslim, and so her parents are a bit more conservative about those kind of things. Like, she asks at dinner, it's a great conversation with her father, "Can I go to a party tonight?" "Where?" "On the waterfront." "With boys?" "Yeah." "Very funny." I like that. That's just that kind of line of like more like a conservative religious background, but also, it's a dad who doesn't want his teenage girl going to parties with boys. That's so on point that it plays on both of those things. While she's at the party, she's kind of treated like shit by the people she wanted approval from, so she storms off, and a mysterious cloud of smoke rolls in over the city, and Kamala passes out in the middle of it and wakes up and sees her heroes, Captain Marvel, Captain America, and Iron Man, speaking to her. But they are not actually those characters. They are instead the "We are faith, we speak all languages of beauty and hardship." So these are like guides of fate and yada yada, and they talk to Kamala about how she's feeling and what she wants, and she says what she wants is to be like Miss Marvel before like Captain Marvel before the costume change. She wants to be like Miss Marvel, and careful what you wish for, because she actually becomes Miss Marvel as Carol Danvers used to be. So there's like a bunch of freaking out and her trying to get used to it, and she ends up inadvertently saving a bully, a girl bully that she was dealing with, using her newfound superpowers, which include like stretchy hands and stuff. Anyway, so yeah, it's just it's a neat little setup. She goes home, gets in trouble, is grounded, and begins to have just problems with her family because she doesn't know if she's ready to tell them about this stuff yet. And it's also the classic story of like the classic comic book story of the teenager dealing with the new superpowers and stuff. So there's just a lot of interconnected things going on, and it's got this fresh feel for a number of reasons. One, because she's a girl, and I cannot readily think of teenage girl superhero that does the whole Peter Parker thing, you know, stinking in and out of the room, all that stuff. I'm sure there's another that exists, it's just not coming to mind for me. But we've also got stuff like, oh, she has to go to mosque. Or to the mosque? Yeah, it's the mosque. I think. God, forgive me if I'm an idiot. But like they have a partition up between men and women for prayer and all this stuff. So it's just, I don't know, it's got a cool feel to it as all these crazy things are happening, and she's trying to get a handle on her powers, so she goes into the locker room and realizes she can grow to like 3 times her size and yada yada yada. But she's just getting in trouble. She's having a harder and harder time dealing with stuff until she stumbles upon a hold-up and turns herself into Captain Marvel to try to save the day. But that gets her shot. End of the series. But no, she ends up being okay because of a factor of her powers, which is kind of neat. And her friend, who was the teller of this convenience store robbery, has to kind of cover for her and make her feel safe as a superhero and yada 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 yada. I don't know, just it's cool. It's fun. It's just it's a pretty typical thing, but it's fun in its own way too. She's got costume that she makes, pretty, you know, typical superhero teenager stuff, but in a really good, nice, fun way. It's nice, it's simple. It's just I'm a fan of soapboxing. I really like when a writer has a character make a statement, a political, moral, ethical statement. I'm a fan of that. But it's also important to know you don't always need that. You can do a character that has a political purpose, but not make that political purpose explicit to the characters themselves or to the characters in the world. Sometimes the best way to handle diversity is to just show diversity. And so, yeah, like there's nothing super special or incredibly profound about anything in this first volume. This is just well-written, fun, cool teenage superhero stuff. But that teenage superhero happens to be a Muslim girl. And I really, really like that. I just think it works really, really well. There was one pretty emotional moment that I quite liked. And it's when her father sits down and talks to her, and he tells her a story. He says, "Do you know why we named you Kamala?" "No, it's a weird name. Everybody else gets to be Yasmin and Lila and stuff." "It's a special name. Kamala means perfection in Arabic. Your mother had a very difficult time when she was pregnant with Amir. After he was... Amir. After he was born, the doctors told us we couldn't have any more children. We were devastated. Then, 5 years later, you came along. Our little miracle. I held you in my hands at the hospital, a tiny, screaming, pinkish-brown baby, and thought you were the most perfect thing I'd ever seen. That's why we gave you your name. You don't have to be someone else to impress anybody. You are perfect just the way you are. We're not trying to make your life miserable, Kamala. We just want you to be safe." I really, really like that scene. That was a very, very good scene, very touching. Yeah, I don't really have much else to say about it besides I just thought it worked really, really well. And it comes at a very good time in it. You know, honestly, it ends on a bit of a cliffhanger to go into the next volume, set up the villain for that. I really feel like this could just be a movie. If not in the MCU, like you could do this just as an animated flick and have it be pretty cool. I don't know how you'd incorporate Miss Marvel in the MCU, given the way Brie Larson's Captain Marvel's origin is changed and streamlined for the movie. But I'm sure you could do something and have it be really interesting. Because I really, really enjoyed this. This was a really fun read, and it's just such a basic brass tacks, no nonsense kind of book. It's straightforward. I thought it read incredibly well. Left a really good impression. I'm excited to check out volume 2. No promises on future volumes unless people want to send me more. But like I said, I got a stack of stuff that I gotta get through. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got for Trade Talk tonight. So thanks everyone for watching. Until next time, I'm Philosopher. Bye.
That's not a comic book. Now that's a comic book.